Welcome back, everyone. Alex Mikado here. Kevin Feige brought Marvel's Holy Trinity to Comic-Con in Shanghai and unveiled the first piece of artwork for Avengers Doomsday. He also confirmed Yelena Belova's appearance in Spider-Man 4 and shared a few new details about the future of the X-Men. So let's not waste any time. Grab your snacks, support the video, and let's break down the first Doomsday poster. The artwork has already received its fair share of criticism online, mainly because, at first glance, it looks a lot like the Infinity War poster, just darker and more ominous. Some fans see it as an obvious attempt to play on nostalgia and recreate the sense of scale Marvel used to have. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Personally, though, we wouldn't judge the entire movie based on one early piece of promotional art, especially because there are quite a few interesting details hidden in the composition. For example, Steve Rogers looks almost identical to the version we saw in that leaked footage featuring the Guardians and Mjolnir. It really looks like Cap may spend most of the movie running around in a t-shirt and jeans. Honestly, that is a cosplayer's dream. Thor, Cyclops, and several other characters also look exactly like they did in that leaked video. And with every new match, the chances of that footage being AI generated seem smaller and smaller. Hulk and the Punisher are expected to appear in the next Spider-Man movie, while Doomsday seems determined to bring together nearly every major character from Marvel's cinematic history. As for the poster itself, the fact that it resembles Infinity War may actually be a good thing. The Infinity War poster didn't just arrange characters randomly. It more or less showed us the teams they would eventually form in the movie. Tony Stark was grouped with Nebula, Cap with Wanda and Vision, Thor with Groot and Rocket, and so on. And usually, the larger a character appears on a poster, the more important their role is likely to be. If that logic applies here, then Steve Rogers and Mr. Fantastic may receive the most screen time in Doomsday. Ant-Man appears to be grouped with the Thunderbolts for some reason. Sam Wilson and his new Falcon seem to be operating separately, while Wakanda may form a close connection with the Fantastic Four, which lines up with previous plot leaks. Those leaks claimed that Sue Storm and Shuri would become friends. There's also some great news for longtime X-Men fans. Cyclops is absolutely massive on the poster, which suggests Scott Summers may have a major role. Anyone worried that the mutants would be introduced only to get wiped out in the opening act can probably relax a little. That said, the same may not apply to Deadpool and Wolverine. Neither of them appears on the poster. Once again, if we use the Infinity War artwork as a reference, that could mean they only have limited screen time. The same may be true for Doctor Strange. Previous story leaks suggested something similar. These characters will appear as major surprises, but they may not stay in the movie for very long. Now take a closer look at Loki. He is positioned directly beneath Doctor Doom and almost perfectly at the center of the entire composition. In the comics, Victor Von Doom gained godlike power through Molecule Man. For the MCU version, fans have been wondering who might fill that role. Could it be the Scarlet Witch, Sentry, or Loki? Judging by this poster, and assuming it supports the leaked plot, it may actually be Loki. And honestly, that would make a lot of sense. According to the rumors, the movie will feature a group of Asgardian warriors sent by Odin from Valhalla to help Thor. Among them may be the original Loki who died in Infinity War. A reunion between him and Thor could easily become one of the film's biggest emotional moments. But in that context, the TVA version of Loki may not have much of a role to play in Doomsday, which raises the possibility that he could be taken out relatively early and used as a power source for Doom. Marvel's so-called Holy Trinity also appeared on stage in Shanghai and gave the usual promise that this would be the most epic movie the studio has ever made. One particularly funny detail was Robert Downey Jr. wearing an Iron Man shirt, and it is hard to tell what that was supposed to mean. Maybe it was just there to remind casual viewers who he used to play, or maybe Robert is still teasing fans about a possible return as Tony Stark. We have very little doubt that Tony will somehow appear in Secret Wars. Doomsday, however, is still a much bigger question mark. Either way, Downey said that if he managed to play Marvel's greatest hero, then he should also be able to play its greatest villain. Do you believe he can pull it off? Tell us in the comments. Now, let's finish the story behind the Doomsday artwork. This was the final piece Andy Park created for Marvel. He had worked on the visual development of every Marvel movie since 2010, but was reportedly affected by the latest wave of layoffs. That sparked a major reaction online, especially on Reddit, along with plenty of dark jokes suggesting that Marvel's posters will only get worse because they will all be handed over to AI. Of course, that is not exactly what happened. Marvel still has Ryan Meinerding leading its visual development, but if audiences end up questioning the character designs or environments in Doomsday, it is worth remembering that one of the studio's most important visual artists was removed shortly before production on the film. Back to Kevin Feige. He confirmed that Marvel will introduce its new X-Men after Secret Wars. At the moment, the closest unassigned MCU release date is May 5th, 2028. So there is a good chance that this could be the date Marvel is holding for its mutant reboot, possibly featuring Sadie Sink. And then came the art book situation. Remember the Spider-Man 4 concept art book that reportedly revealed new details about Hulk and the Punisher? After those details leaked, Marvel moved the book's release to August 18th, while posts featuring material from it started disappearing from the internet. So we cannot show any of those new images now. We can only talk about what was reportedly inside. A similar art book for Doomsday has has been removed from the release calendar completely, and there is currently no clear indication of when it will come out. Feige is clearly worried about leaks, and this makes it even more likely that the leaked Doomsday footage was never meant to be part of the official marketing campaign. The head of Marvel Studios also confirmed that Yelena Belova will appear in Doomsday, but during the Shanghai event, Feige suggested that fans would not have to wait until the next Avengers movie to see her again. That statement immediately reignited rumors about Yelena making a cameo in Spider-Man Brand New Day. The rumor quickly became a meme because production reports claimed that Florence Pugh had been on the Brand New Day set alongside an intimacy coordinator. Naturally, that led to speculation that the movie could include some nudity, but the more likely explanation is that Yelena catches Peter Parker in an awkward situation, and that Peter, not Yelena, is the one who is undressed. The exhibition also featured Dr. Doom's throne, Charles Xavier's office, Reed Richards' chalkboard, and an Avengers memorial with a very strange inscription. The text claimed that Heimdall, Iron Man, Loki, Wong, Captain America, Ant-Man, and several others would return in Avengers 5. That is such a bold statement that it almost feels like the inscription was written by an intern who is not completely familiar with the MCU. Unless, of course, Marvel has just quietly confirmed the return of both Iron Man and the deceased Heimdall. Heimdall, at least, could easily be connected to Odin's army from Valhalla. Thankfully, we may not have to speculate for much longer. The first Doomsday trailer has reportedly been submitted to ratings boards and sent out for dubbing in multiple countries. That suggests Marvel may avoid repeating the situation where footage is shown exclusively to attendees at San Diego Comic-Con on July 25th. And that would make sense. Brand New Day is approaching, and Feige will almost certainly want to attach the Doomsday trailer to its theatrical release. Although, knowing Marvel, another possibility is that the trailer will play only in cinemas at first, with the online release arriving a week or two later. Either way, a full breakdown should be coming very soon, so make sure those notifications are turned on. For now, let's look at another batch of new Spider-Man footage, including a moment where Peter appears to hit Hulk with what looks suspiciously like a Rasengan. We recently released a video on No Spoilers about the upcoming live-action Naruto adaptation, which is being directed by Brand New Day filmmaker Destin Daniel Cretton. In that video, we joked that Cretton seemed to be using Spider-Man as practice for anime. Now that joke is starting to look almost official, because what Peter does on screen really does look like a Rasengan, or at the very least, something close to Kakashi's Chidori. The visual style of this Spider-Man movie may end up being especially appealing to anime fans, and if this reference is intentional, there may be many more throughout the film. Another teaser focuses on the relationship between Spider-Man and the Punisher. It includes a funny exchange after Bruce transforms into Hulk. Frank tells Peter to keep Hulk busy while he disables the Source. Peter immediately asks whether the Punisher is simply using this as an excuse to avoid fighting Hulk himself. Frank basically admits that he is. Should Peter feel bad for asking a man with no superpowers to fight the Hulk? That is a rhetorical question. The more important issue is the Source Frank is talking about. What exactly is he trying to shut down? The most obvious possibility may be Jean Grey. The trailer seems to suggest that she is somehow controlling or triggering Bruce's transformation into Hulk. And if our earlier theory is correct, that the Spider-Man and Punisher fight against Hulk takes place inside a damage control facility, then Sadie Sink's character may be somewhere in the same building. Why all of them are there is still unclear. It is tempting to connect the situation to a piece of the Venom symbiote, but that would be pure speculation. There could be 100 different explanations. The concept art book is equally vague. It only says that the Punisher arrives at the scene while carrying out his own mission. It never explains what that mission actually is. What it does reveal, however, is the location of Frank's headquarters. The base seen in the trailer was reportedly built inside a decommissioned commercial barge. It now serves as both a command center and a safe house. And that raises an interesting question. Could this be the same barge that was sunk by the Head in season 2 and was later supposed to be raised back to the surface? For now, we can only wait and see. The art book also reportedly confirms that the filmmakers were inspired by the other storyline rather than the Neogenic Nightmare. There are hints that organic webbing will not be the only new ability Peter develops. He may have several other surprises waiting for him, but the most important detail concerns damage control. According to the book, the organization's headquarters will receive a significant amount of attention in the story. It also mentions weapons designed using Chitauri technology, Sakaran technology, and even missile systems inspired by the Guardians of the Galaxy. The book reportedly includes an entire chapter about the history of damage control. In short, the organization did not collapse after the events of Endgame. Instead, it became even more powerful and received expanded authority to monitor and control superheroes. So it looks like Frank and Peter may not rely only on Peter's anime-style energy attack to stop Hulk. They may also steal additional weapons from damage control and use them against him. The final major detail from the art book concerns Jean DeWolf. She is expected to become an important part of the movie and may have been the only person Peter Parker regularly spoke to during the 4 years in which he gradually abandoned his civilian identity and devoted himself completely to being Spider-Man. Jean DeWolf is a police detective played by Liza Cologne Zayas. The trailers have not focused on her very much, but her role in the actual movie may be far more important than the marketing suggests. And then there is the detail many fans have been worried about. The art book reportedly contains an image of Peter Parker sitting next to MJ without his mask. There is no guarantee that this moment will appear in the finished movie. Concept art often represents ideas that never make it into the final cut, but if the scene does appear, some viewers will immediately argue that it undermines the ending of No Way Home. Although it may not be that simple. Seeing Peter's face would not magically restore MJ's memories. She still would not remember their relationship, their adventures, anything they experienced together. According to the trailer, she may not even know him as Peter Parker. She may know him under the name Maynard. The story could easily turn the situation in the opposite direction. Peter finally tells MJ the truth. He explains who he is, what they meant to each other, and everything they went through. And MJ responds by saying something like, "I understand what you feel, but I do not have those memories. I have a different life now. I'm sorry." In other words, the most painful friend zone imaginable. If that happens, the movie would not weaken the ending of No Way Home. It would reinforce it. Even if Peter tells MJ everything, the confession would not restore her memories or bring back the feelings she once had for him. Peter would have no choice but to move forward. Maybe toward Gwen Stacy, maybe toward Black Cat in a fifth movie. And honestly, that may be one of the strongest directions Marvel could take. What do you think? Should Peter reveal his secret to his old friends again? Or should he leave everything as it is? Share your thoughts in the comments. That is all for now. See you next time, friends.